Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. I'm your host, John McGinley. I'm joined by Ryan McGinley, who is live in Zagreb with us. Ryan, we'll get straight into it, mate. What is the team news for tonight's big Champions League game?
Yeah, I think there's one change. Hi, John. Hi to everybody else. I think there's one change from the last time Celtic played in Europe. Arne Engels comes out of the team, and in comes Paulo Bernardo. So it's Kasper Schmeichel in goals. A back four of Greg Taylor, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Alistair Johnston. Midfield three of Callum McGregor, the captain, who makes his 100th European appearance tonight. Paulo Bernardo and Rio Tati join him, and a front three of Kyogo Furuhashi through the middle, Daisen Maeda on the left, and Nicholas Kuhn on the right. The subs are Sinisalo, Scales, Palma, Ida, Baye, Yang, McCowan, Nawrowski, Engels, Forrest, Ralston, and Welsh. So a really strong team, John. Just really looking forward to this one tonight.
I'm looking forward to it too, and I would suggest about the team we were expecting. No real big surprises. I think there was only one or two positions maybe up for debate. The team's kind of picking itself at the moment. Would you go along with that?
Would certainly go along with that, and I think that shows just how well Celtic are doing at the moment, that regardless of what changes they make, it will be a strong team regardless. Greg Taylor's in there, could have easily been Baye tonight, but he's on the bench. Paulo Bernardo, you're bringing in a player that's at least worth 6-7 million to replace an £11 million player in Arne Engels. So there's strength and depth for Celtic all over the park. Couple of areas, those areas that I mentioned were probably the only contentious ones. But apart from that, John, I think the team just picks itself. And I think that'll bring the manager extra comfort, knowing the vast majority of the players pick themselves at this point.
Yeah, I like Paulo Bernardo in the middle there. I know obviously Arne Engels has been playing a lot in Europe this season, but Paulo Bernardo gives us energy, gives us that bit of composure. I think everyone's well aware that the midfield three are probably the most crucial combination in the team tonight, both in terms of how they play with each other and link with each other, but also making sure they're disciplined with their positioning and their pressing, and really combining with that defensive line in moments where Dinamo might, have possession and territory in the game and have threats of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got to ride a bit of a storm here, because I think Dinamo will want to come back and show everybody why they're in such a good position in the Champions League. They've not had great domestic results recently. They drew at the weekend. They're in a bit of a crisis. Also, they say in terms of statements, the manager's been quick to quell those sort of chat and really focus on this game. But both teams are in a really good position. Dinamo will look at this game. They've got two really difficult games coming up against, I believe it's Sporting, or is it PSG and AC Milan. So it's the last. This is a real big game for them tonight. It's a real big game for both teams. I know Celtic have got young boys later on next game, but what an opportunity it is tonight to essentially put one foot in the next round. If they can do that, they can scratch that 7-year itch that I was talking about this morning on the Celtic Way. The last time they won was away from home to Anderlecht back in 2017. 7 years too many, but if they could right that wrong tonight, then I think nobody would complain. They're going to have to be disciplined tonight in defence and really take their chances when they come to them. But I think there'll be goals in this game tonight for both teams. I think it's going to be a bit of a firefight. I've been saying it all week. I think that this is going to be an exciting game. Celtic have been involved in just about every single kind of European game this season. I think they've yet to have one of those firefights, and tonight I think could be that.
Well, that'll be exciting. Maybe not so much for the nerves of Celtic supporters, but it would be exciting for all of us to see these two teams go toe-to-toe, I think. Ryan, obviously you've been in Zagreb for the last couple of days. How are you finding it? Obviously, you spent some time, around Brendan Rodgers and Austin Trusty yesterday. How is it feeling, the mood, amongst the Celtic support in Zagreb, but also the mood amongst the manager and the player that you got to talk to last night?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll touch on the manager and the player, Austin Trusty. They were both in a really quietly confident mood last night. They cut really confident figures, talking about the game, talking about the need to have respect for the opponent, but also they feel confident in themselves and where they're at, both domestically and on the European front. For the supporters, it's just been a big party basically for the past 2 nights. It's been absolutely brilliant. Zagreb is a great place to be. There's plenty of places that will make you feel more than welcome wherever you go. The food is brilliant, the drinks are brilliant as well. I would highly recommend it to anybody that even wants to take it as a city break. It's relatively cheap. Everything is pretty close to each other. I was away visiting the cathedral today, which is currently undergoing renovations at the moment, but even just the outside of it is spectacular. Going through the marketplace, going to the sort of place where all the Celtic fans are meeting up. There was a big noise, big crowds. Everywhere seems full at the moment, and it seems as if it's going to be that way, win, lose or draw tonight. But I can only imagine what it'll be like if Celtic get a win tonight on foreign soil. You've got a feeling that the party would only just be beginning. Not to tempt fate too much, but a win would really, really set this place up to 11 in terms of decibels.
My experience that, everyone who travels away to watch Celtic in Europe thinks rationally about the game before they leave, before they get on the flight. As soon as they touch down in the closest airport, it's a 3-0 win for Celtic all the way. And that's how they feel right through to kick off. So I'm sure everyone's very much enjoying themselves. And I'm not sure, is that you trying to pitch yourself remote working from Zagreb from here on in?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't complain. The prices are definitely better. Ubers are fairly easy to get in and around this place, and they're a lot cheaper than in Scotland. That's for sure. But yeah, overall, it's a really good place to be. It's been really hospitable for the fans that have already joined. A couple of bits of trouble here and there, but you expect that on an away trip. But for the most part, it's been absolutely brilliant. Just hoping that the football translates to that good feeling off the pitch. It then translates onto the pitch.
And what we're thinking for who's the key player in this team tonight, I'm looking at that team, and for some reason I keep looking towards Reo Hatate. I think if he plays well tonight, I think he could find space to damage Dinamo, and that could be, if we can kind of turn them and trouble them, and he can play incisive, those incisive balls forward, that could be, our key to victory tonight. Who else are you looking in the team that might be, the absolute standout for Celtic if we're going to get a result tonight?
It's a bit of a tap and answer, but I think the whole team is important tonight. They've got to play as a team. Yes, the individuals such as Nicholas Kuhn, Daizen Maeda, Kyogo Furuhashi, they're going to have to be big tonight on the attacking side of things, but defensively too, Kyogo's going to need to lead the press in terms of getting the ball back and intercepting when possible. Nicholas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda, they're going to be high on the pressure counter towards the end of the game or when the stats come out tomorrow. Hatate, he can be the difference between the two sides. He's got that magic in midfield. Paulo Bernardo, I could go through the whole team here, John, but I think the back needs to be resolute and the front needs to be positive when possible, when in the transition. If they can hit Zagreb on the counter, then, they'll have chances. Zagreb have got a lot of players out at the moment, so it's all about using that to their advantage tonight. Celtic have got the players to hurt Zagreb. It's just all about if they play cohesively as a unit. If they do that, then I think they've got a great chance tonight. But I think there's so many key players for Celtic tonight. If I was to pick out one, probably Nicholas Kuhn out on the wing, and as you said, Reo Hatate in the attacking midfield position.
It could also be a big night for Kasper Schmeichel. Coincidentally, one of his best games, if not his best game at the weekend for Celtic. It might be good timing going away in Europe against a fairly dangerous side. He could be busy tonight, and he feels trustworthy there, doesn't he? He doesn't feel like you're not worried about him making a mistake or having a massive error. He's going to be crucial in ensuring that we try and break whatever press that Dinamo bring to Celtic, because he effectively starts almost every move going forward. That he's so involved on the ball.
He does, yeah. He's an upgrade in that sense from Joe Hart, who's at the game tonight, coincidentally. But I think he's better on the ball than his predecessor, Joe Hart. It's brilliant to see that he can play balls out from the back quite easily. But he's a good goalkeeper first and foremost as well, and he makes big saves in key moments. If Celtic went 1 or 2 goals behind against Hibs, you never know what could have happened at home. The crowd could have been on their back, and it could have been a difficult afternoon with those 2 or 3 saves that Kasper Schmeichel had, which I did think it was his best game in the colours of Celtic. He really did calm the game down for Celtic, and the attacking players then had the onus to go forward and create opportunities, and thankfully, unlike Hibs, they took them. But he is so important in breaking that press with those passes. I think, looking at that back 4 plus Kasper Schmeichel, they're all pretty comfortable on the ball. They can all make things happen positively going forward. And also, if they're in a bit of a pinch at the back and they're getting pressed quite heavily by Zagreb, who you would expect to play that way, then, they'll be fine on the ball. They'll trust each other. Cameron Carter-Vickers will be hoping not to put the ball in his own net this time around. But, how many mistakes has he made for Celtic? 1, maybe 2 in the 3-4 years that he's been there. I think he's got some credit in the bank, and I think he'll be quite fine tonight. I think he'll be out for a bit of redemption on the European front after a great performance against Aberdeen and Hibs, respectively, in midweek and the weekend. You just trust these players, and you trust Austin Trusty as well. Pardon the pun, but he's a man of confidence at the moment. Again, I keep on talking about when he's going to break his duck for Celtic in the goal scoring front. Seems to be getting closer with the headers. What what a place to do it tonight if it's away in Zagreb to secure a famous win for Celtic, or even secure a point for Celtic. It'd be massive. Want to see him on the score sheet. Want to see anybody on the score sheet, but especially Austin Trusty.
It's games like this that does get the heart beating. I mean, obviously, before we started this European campaign, and you're thinking we're away in Zagreb, and a win effectively books our place in the next round. Zagreb, they'll be thinking, a win at home to Celtic effectively books a place in the next round. This is the kind of match that this kind of new group stage was kind of built for. This kind of is a showcase of it. Two teams who perhaps may have not progressed in the old format, ready to go toe-to-toe, put on an exciting match, and, start to rub shoulders with the really big names in the knockout rounds. I mean, I think this is going to be a fantastic to watch match. It's kind of low-key because it's a bit earlier, kick-off, we're away from home, it's not under the lights of Celtic Park, but this is a huge, exciting game that really does get your heart beating ahead of kick-off.
Certainly does. These two teams would have probably both been in pot 4 in the old format of the Champions League, so they would never come up against each other unless, weirdly, one of them get first place and the other get second place in the group stages. The fact that these games are allowed to happen are only going to improve these teams going forward, playing against like-minded teams, getting those points in. Kind of similar to the way the Nations League goes when you've got Group A, B and C. You're playing against similar quality of players. Yes, some of them are lopsided in terms of the individuals, and maybe some of the teams are in good form, but for the most part, you're playing against teams that are well suited to the way that you play in the same level. So, yeah, games like this tonight, games against Bratislava as well, young boys to come. Celtic, it's been a favourable draw for Celtic, but it's only favourable if Celtic get the points needed from these games. They got a good point against Club Brugge. I think everybody would agree with that. The way the game went, a point was probably a really good result just off the back of that game, especially the first half. This game tonight, you want to be winning this, but it depends on the way it goes. You might say get out of here with a point and then go to Young Boys and get the 3 points at home. They're a team that are really struggling in the Champions League thus far. These games are... This is why the model works, the new model works. And Celtic can definitely compete in this. They compete against the better sides too, of course. They've done that against Atalanta and RB Leipzig. But games like this, they'll really fancy themselves. I've seen the betting odds, and Dinamo Zagreb are like 3-1, which is so weird that Celtic are the favourites for this sort of game, even away from home in Croatia. Kind of shows you where they are at the moment and where Celtic are at. But all that means nothing. Games aren't played in betting. Betting companies are betting shops. They're played on the park, and we'll see what happens in just about an hour's time.
So we'll get a prediction then, Ryan. What's your gut feeling? On tonight? A scoreline prediction from you.
I'm going to throw it right out there. Hot take alert. I think it's going to be something like 4-3 to Celtic or 4-2 to Celtic. I think there'll be goals for both sides. I think it's going to be manic. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a really good game for the neutral. Both two like-minded teams. I know Zagreb have got those injuries, but they've still got really good players in and around their team. They've got Pjaka, who scored a hat-trick the last time the two teams met. They've also got a young Croatian talent that their manager was talking about last night, and Martin Bacirina, 21-year-old midfielder. He's a guy to look out for. He's going to be one of these probably the next big player to come out of Zagreb into one of the top 5 leagues. So they've got good players. I know they've had to draft in quite a few of their young players. Maybe that's why the Zagreb team's a bit weaker for the B team today. I know they got the win against Celtic, but they've had to draft in quite a few of the B team players to fill up the numbers just due to the injuries that they've got at the moment. So these players won't be no mugs. There'll be no mugs. There'll be good players coming through their system. But I think it's going to be an exciting game between two decent sides.
4-3's bold, but I'm here for it. I'll be a little more reserved. I'll say 2-1 to Celtic. I agree. I think there's goals in this for both teams, and it's really who's going to probably cope with the moments of adversity best. And I just feel like Celtic are getting better in that regard. When there are difficult moments, they're really grown into it. They had the horror show in Dortmund, but since then, I feel like they've come through some difficult moments in this tournament, and looking forward to seeing what will produce. We'll let you go, Ryan. You're there in the stadium. You're going to enjoy the game. You're going to have all your thoughts on the website after the game. You're going to be speaking to players and manager. Have a great night, and we'll see all your coverage on the other side.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope everybody enjoys the game, and thank you very much, John, for hosting tonight. Appreciate it.
No problem. Bye, everyone.